Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Divinity here, back with another tutorial for you guys today. I know it's been a long time, had a lot of stuff going on in the past month, but we are back and fresh with a 2D motion tracking tutorial. Let's get right into it. What I'm going to show you is going to be on the screen now. Alright, so now that you guys saw the two samples of what we're going to be doing today, we're going to get right into this. I already imported my two cinematics I wanted to use, and I renamed them to Cinematic 1 and Cinematic 2, just to keep it a little organized. So I'm going to import my first cinematic here, bring it into a new composition. So now I have my raw cinematic. This is not touched, this isn't cropped or scaled, adjusted or anything. This is exactly me recording it, So what I'm going to do, I'm going to crop this. I'm going to find the area where I want to start the cinematic. So it starts to move, this goes away, it starts to move right here. I'm going to click Alt and a left bracket, or you can just drag it to where you want. It's better to snap exactly to where you want it. So just click Alt, left bracket. Alright, I'm going to click these little mountains down here that zooms out. And I'm going to bring my mouse back to 0 and click left bracket, which snaps it to 0. Okay, so we're gonna move all the way until the area you want to stop recording. It goes into the barrel, so I'm gonna stop about right there. I'm gonna click Alt and right bracket, which snaps that to my endpoint. I have this all open now, right? So I have the area where it starts, and I have the area where it ends. What I want to do is, I don't want to camera track 44 seconds. It would be a really long time to camera track. You can do this. The benefit of doing this is that since it's slower, it's going to track more points for you. It's going to take a longer time to track, but it's going to be more accurate, because with a faster track, it's harder for After Effects to pick up points if it's a little too fast. If it's nice and slow, After Effects will take its time and render out more points for you. I'm gonna slow it down to a decent amount of time to where it'll still pick up a good amount of points, if that makes sense. Slow this down. I'm going to right click on my cinematic. I'm going to go up to time, enable time remapping. So now that this is open, you see time remap is open. I'm going to click on my start position. I made a keyframe, and then I'm going to hold shift and click at the end. Holding shift locks it to the end. So if I'm just moving, it locks it. Holding shift and just dragging the mouse. So I'm going to make a keyframe at the end as well. There's no clip here, so I can delete this end keyframe here. This keyframe is made on the end of the clip, and there's a keyframe on the beginning of the clip. I'm going to take the end keyframe and probably bring it to 20 seconds. That's a good amount of time, I feel, for the clip to track and get enough points. I'm going to snap this by either dragging it and holding shift, and it'll snap right to my marker here. Or if it's just like that, I can hold Alt and click the right bracket. Okay, so we want to clean this up just a little more. The whole composition, you don't want to track this and have an empty composition. So let's close this composition by either dragging it and holding shift and letting it snap, or if it's out like this, you can just be on the end of your clip and click N, and that snaps it right to the end. I'm going to right click in the gray area here, in between the blue bar, the little blue bars here. Right click, trim comp to work area. So now it is trimmed up. We minimized the time to 20 seconds, cropped it to where we wanted to. And now I want to get rid of this, my little taskbar at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click S. I'm going to scale this up, and there we go. We have a full cinematic here ready to track. So what I can also do is turn off my sound. Awesome. I want to pre-compose this cinematic before we track it. So right click, pre-compose, move all attributes into the new composition, and adjust composition, have this checked. So okay. There we go, it's snapped in the scale, so now this is exactly what it looks like, and I can track this. I'm going to right click and track camera. What this is going to do is it's going to analyze from the beginning all the way till the end, and up here it says initializing. What this will do in a second is it's going to prepare to render all your frames out for you. I will be right back when this is finished. Alright, so now that this has finished tracking, you see I have all my track points in here. If for some reason that you do not have these track points showing, or you do have the track point showing and you don't have this red circle, you can go up to view and go down to show layer controls, and the red circle should be back for you. What we're gonna do is you can decide on where you want to track have your text. You can have it here, or for me I could have it here, or what I want to do is I want to have it up here in the sky. But to do that, I'm going to have to find an area where it's a solid area where my text isn't gonna shift a lot, and the stairs there's a lot of points here, and I feel like that's a good place for me to make my text. What I'm gonna do is I can circle these, get my circle right in the middle here. I'm going to right click and create text and camera. Now what this does is my text has appeared and it is tracked, but it's not tracked to where we want it. And it's also created a camera. Without the camera, your text is non-existent and it's not tracked. You want to make sure that's enabled. I can turn my sound off. I'm going to take my text, and this is now a 3D layer. You can double check to make sure it is by looking at this little three-dimensional cube, and you see there's a cube in the box selected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click R, which brings up my X, Y, and Z rotation. So what I want to do, I want this text to go up here. It's not going to go up if the arrow is angled this way. You want the y-axis to be angled upwards. I'm going to take my X rotation and I'm going to angle it up. I'm going to kind of turn it. You kind of have to mess with whatever cinematic you have to have it angled in the area that you want. So I'm just going to play around with this really quick, and I'm going to take this Y and I'm going to drag it up. So it's almost up. Your Z is your depth. And I'm gonna bring it over, and then I'm gonna just adjust it a little bit. I'm gonna name this tutorial. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it over again, and it looks really good here. Let's see how it looks. It's moving along. It kind of, for me, it seems like the tutorial text is up a little too far, and I want it kind of in the middle of this stone pillar. So I'm just going to push the text back, and you can see that this is overlapping the L, so you can kind of just bring it up just like that. So let's see what we got. I think that looks very clean. I like it. Just for the sake of the tutorial, you can see what I did here. There you go. That is 2D motion tracking. So what I can do if I want to make this pretty, I can take all of these layers, hold control, click, click, or I can just click this, hold shift and click the top, or click it and click control A. And I'm going to right click, pre-compose this again, move all attributes, and adjust composition duration. Click OK. Made a new composition. You guys get the gist, whatever you want to do, but that is 2D motion tracking. So I'm going to move on to my next cinematic here. It's a little more in depth. So we do the same exact thing as I showed you in the first one, but with this one, you see how the fire hydrant goes in front of the text. I'm going to go into this already finished composition. Ignore this layer that I have turned off. So this is what we had in the previous cinematic that I just showed you. This is the final thing. If you have, for instance, a cinematic where you want the text in a certain place, but you have an object kind of moving in front of your text, and it just doesn't look right because you want the text in the back, but the fire hydrant is in depth right here. So what you want to do is you're going to duplicate your original cinematic by clicking Control D, and I'm going to move it above my text. Now the text has disappeared because your cinematic is on it. Just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to delete this really quick, and this is the same thing. I'm just going to enable this, and so my fire hydrant comes in and is almost in front of the text at this point. So I'm just going to scroll along till it's almost touching the text. I want to make a marker here. What I can do is just click the asterisk key that's above the 9 on your keypad, which makes a little arrow here, but I have one up here. And you want to keep dragging along to the point to where it's at the end of your cinematic or past your text, and make another keyframe there. The reason I made these keyframes is because I am going to be masking out the fire hydrant so that it goes in front of my text. So basically what I do there is I start on the area where I made a little marker. Let me delete this mask really quick. So what I do is I just basically go around the fire hydrant. Just gonna do a little quick example here. And when I've connected the mask, it shows the text again. It's because for this cinematic, only this area of the cinematic is now usable, I guess you can say. What I want to do is click M and click mask make a keyframe on mask path. I have a keyframe on here. I can go in the middle here and I can kind of drag this over and adjust to what I want it to look like. Just gonna move this around. You should definitely add more, little points. Didn't make enough masking points. You can click G and move and just add to the line. So like wherever the line is, there's a little plus on the little pen, and you can make as many points as you want. What I want to do is I can move this along again and basically double click on my mask, drag it over, and just adjust my points to where I feel it's necessary to be in front of the text. I already did this earlier, but I basically went through and made points on my fire hydrant throughout this to make it really accurate, and it basically just moves in front of the text. Well, that's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'm going to be starting with some basic tutorials, but if you guys have any recommendations that you want or something you want me to do that you've seen in one of my edits, just let me know in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and that's it. Take care, guys. Peace.